Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Sunday fun day. I decided before I posted my interview with K-Hit on their artist night, I wanted to get on and share a little bit about how it came about and what made me finally decide to do it before I shared the actual interview. So it was in August, and Tag Schneider, who did my very first album of the songs I had written, had reached out to me and told me about this new radio station in Minot, K-Hit, and 106 Nostalgic. And wow, Nostalgic really hit home. But he asked me if I'd be willing to submit something. But first, I had sang a song of his that he had written, and asked if it was okay when he submitted, if he submitted the one that my vocals were on. And I thought, well, that would be fine. Yeah, that's great. And then he said, you should really submit something. And I told Tom Shrader about you. And so, well, anyway, try to stay focused, Carrie. But, and I always say I just woke up because I work a night shift. So normally I am just waking up. But anyway, Teg said I should submit something. And this was in August. And I just didn't feel like I wanted to. It was something I wasn't sure if I wanted to step back into listening to, or finding a song or songs that I really would like to share with people. I really wasn't sure how I wanted to go about this, or if I even wanted to. So I chose not to in the early stages. I chose not to submit any songs because I wasn't sure I was in a place I was ready to go back to that area of my life. And then one day, after I had sat in meditation for a while and prayer, and realized that if I did, what songs would I share? And that meant then listening to the songs on my album. And if I shared, I wanted to have a story that was worth telling, that might bring light and love to others that are going to listen to it. So I decided to listen to my album, The Journey, that I had recorded on Mercy Street Records back in 2002. So you talk about nostalgic. And a blast from the past, going back to all those songs. When I listened to Tag's song the night his artist performance played, it just made me cry. I just sat there and cried because it brought back so many memories and so many things of where I had been and what life had been like. And his song, just beautiful. Anyway, I decided to do it. And so I reached out to Tom. But I knew if I was going to do it, I had to be honest with how far I've come in life. And I wanted to be. And so I became very vulnerable. And the vulnerability is probably why I'm doing this intro to the show, because I really did share a lot about where I was during those times and how life was such a challenge and a struggle, and the different things I was going through. And I used the term which I felt at the time, and I feel still, would be the one most people would understand, and how I struggled with mental illness, and mostly depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, just so many different things in my life at that younger age. Even when I was going through, when I was in Nashville, even when I got the record deal, I just never felt like enough. I never felt like I was good enough, or my self-esteem, so many things were in question. But also there was a lot of other challenges in my life at that time, which put me on antidepressant medications. And if you know, like I know, many artists and writers do suffer from mental illness. And so when you listen to these songs, that's what they're about. They were never chosen for my compilation disc for the radio, but it was what I wanted to share. I wanted to be vulnerable. I wanted to be transparent. And one of the things that was hard for me was I was kind of like a George Jones, No Show Jones. Because of my mental illness and my depression and anxiety, there were many times I didn't show up for performances. And I'll never forget, and I shouldn't laugh about it, but I have to because otherwise I'll cry. So I'll never forget when I was going to perform at the fair. Right below or above me was George Jones. He was going to be there. And I was down below about my being on one of the free stages. And I remember at that time when I seen that, I'm like, oh my God, how perfect could that have been? And I know, and my apologies to those that were part of those events where I was a no-show. There are just times in life we don't have any more to give. And when life's challenges come up, not everybody understands. And so that's what, I'm just going to leave it at that. I think the interview with Tom, who did a phenomenal job on bringing me forth and making it real and transparent as I wanted the story to be. And the reason is because none of us are alone. If you have a mind, you are going to struggle with some form of mental illness at some state in your life. I don't care who you are. So mental illness is just, it's our mind. It's really what we're going through life. We're going through the challenges of life, through growing pains, through trying to find out who are we? Where do we fit into this big, massive universe and world that we're born into when there's so many options available to us and so much out there? So that's what it's all about. It's just being transparent and letting other people know that they're not alone. Mental illness is a real thing, but nobody's exempt from it. I don't care if you're on medications. I don't care if you're counseling. I don't care what it is. If you're struggling and going through it alone, that's when I encourage you to reach out. That's when I encourage you to seek somebody to talk to and move through those pains. As I share in the interview, it's a heartfelt interview, and Tom allowed me to just be me and share my story. And that's all any of us really ever want, is to be who we really are and move through life the best we can without being judged or judging others. And sometimes that's easier said than done. So below this, I will post the link. I'll pin this to the top, of course, and once I take it off the top, it'll be below the interview, as it always is, but I'm not really that great at technology, so, so this is what you're going to get. But may you be blessed on this Sunday Fun Day. May you know that no matter what you go through in life, from the simplest to the huge things that we all are going to face at some point, you're not alone. And mental illness is a real thing, but it doesn't define us. What it shows is we're human, and we all go through struggles. We all have struggles. And the beautiful part is we can overcome. And that's where I'm at today. The overcoming part. Do I still have down days? Debbie Downer days? Yeah. Do I still struggle with anxiety? Sometimes. But you know, the beautiful part is I've done the work too. I've invested in myself. I've gone through the counseling. I've done the things that needed to be done to move me forward. And then when I felt I was ready to go on my own, I did. And that's when you really start stepping into who you are, is when you say, I'm not okay, and it's okay not to be okay. Because we all are there at some point in our life. You're never alone. And that's what I remind myself every day in life. We are all going through this journey of this human vehicle we're in. And with that comes sufferings, trials, tribulations. But we're not alone. Step into who you are. Step into the pain and suffering and deal with it. Don't suppress it. Address it. Because good things can come when you allow those emotions and those feelings to be there, and you work through them and you see them. And yeah, does it hurt? Does it take you back? Yes. One of the reasons I didn't want to do the interview, because I wasn't sure I was ready to go back to that place in my life. But I'm so glad I did, because I'm at a different place. I didn't have to attach to it. I didn't have to pick up all those broken pieces anymore, because they're not who I am. They were just a part of my life. They were experiences I had. And I can only and always, when I share with you, whether it's on my Facebook page about perceptions or beliefs I have or spiritual experiences I've had, those are my experiences. I'm not telling you to believe what I believe. I'm not even asking you to. I'm just sharing information. And then you take, as I always say, what you can use, and then you leave the rest. But don't stop growing. Don't stifle the energy that you are, the beautiful soul, spiritual being you are. Move through. I hope you enjoy the songs and you hear what I'm saying when I share from the heart and from a vulnerable state of being. We are not alone. May you be blessed.